Welcome in. Fantasy baseball statistics is what we do here. I have a lot for you guys today. I was partly away because I had some people visiting. And on the other hand, this is starting pitching. And we've got to be the best at this. We've got to win leagues here. So I was in the lab and I couldn't come out until I had answers that I could get behind. We're talking about buying aces today. Essentially a top 20 starting pitching with prices because we're going to do prices, but how to get your aces. And what I'm seeing, this is a good year to win entire leagues. That's what I'm seeing this season because I'm seeing a lot of mistakes in pricing, and it's going to be easy to get what I'm calling $20 aces this year. So get all the $20 aces you want. If we're going to talk strategy, three or four $20 aces, 80 on pitching, that's serviceable. That leaves a lot of room to pay for hitting. So we're going to be looking at that. We're going to be getting the right guys and seeing through the mistakes. Get your coffee ready, boys, because there's going to be detail and we're going to learn about pitching. Auction nomination, quick point. That late pinch point, I feel like I didn't describe it enough previously, and I want to go a little further into that. The late pinch point is the sleeper that everyone's kind of kept their eye on. They're really low priced, they're underpriced, and they have a strong spring. And there's a lot of people that we all know, but we don't want to nominate it because we're all thinking, oh, we'll get it late for cheap. But everybody's thinking that. And the problem you run into is that squirrel in the auction who's just saving his nuts through the whole auction, and they end up being big stack, and they're going to take over for some period of the draft until they finally spend down all their money. And that's a bad position to be in with your sleeper. If you really, really cared about your sleeper, if it was a must-own player, because the person that saved too much money, and they're going to be going home and buying a pizza with auction money afterwards, they're going to be a problem on your sleeper when they know that that person's there, or the couple other big stacks. So I guess my point with the late pinch point is if I can get that person up a little bit earlier in the nomination, not right away, but earlier when we all have money or when there's more players, the squirrel and the late big stack, they don't know that they need that player yet. I kind of learned through multiple auctions that guy at pinch point, I'm not going to be able to get them. So I find a way to work around, and that workaround is, well, I have money. Let's do it. It's time to do it. I throw the person into the auction, and yeah, I wasn't gonna get them for the $5 misprice that they were at, but at least that was never gonna happen. So that was an illusion that I was gonna get there. But at least this way, I have the battle. They didn't go for 5. It was aggressive. They went for 22, but I had the money to get the win, and now I can adjust. I can restructure. I can restructure from my slush fund. Maybe I got that money out of my slush fund. So it's good to know that early. That's one strategy. Right here where we're talking about starting pitchers is getting to like the pitcher and knowing what to expect. I will watch these guys, so I want to see velocity, or I want to see strikeout rates. So getting in, there were some guys like Matt Boyd, it felt a little bit like a pumpkin. I was like, he's going to turn into a pumpkin. I couldn't believe it. But after looking at his numbers all season, I've got to dig in. I've got to like the numbers and not the name on the jersey or the emblem on the jersey. I've got to just like the player, and I've got to give him the respect. So it's getting to like a Matt Boyd because we're looking at the numbers and because he's actually accomplishing something. Maybe we got to go all the way back to the minors to see, he did have a spark. It just took him a long time to develop. Another one that I was slow to get on board was Lucas Giolito, who we're going to go into why I'm extremely bullish on him. But last season, if you sorted XFIP, it would first go to the highest number, which would be the worst number. So those are the worst guys. They're the guys getting blasted. And Lucas Giolito used to be at the top of getting blasted. And this is a number one prospect. He's been traded around the league for elite talent, for the upside. And so it's interesting. He made such a switch. I was slow to react last season. I didn't own any Lucas Giolito. I was like, Lucas Giolito started going well, and I was like, after the fact, oh goodness, like we'll have to see what he really did. So there's that. This approach, I'm focusing on stuff. I'm focusing on arsenal and what kind of stuff I'm drafting. In terms of injury, I'm gonna mute the whole thing. I'm gonna ignore everybody's injury risk. I'm gonna ignore all the labrums, all the elbows, all the low backs, the shoulders, the lats, the pectorals. Clayton Kershaw, I'm gonna deal with it, and the way I'm gonna do it is because I'm gonna triple down. I'm gonna draft so many starting pitchers. We get through this problem by filling our bench up with SP. The bats I draft, they're everyday starters. So there's that. Fill out that. I don't want a deep bench of bats because they're not going to play. What I do need is more ace upside pitchers rounding out the end of that bench. A little thing on pricing in the auction. So we started 260. There's some stopping points, so I want to let you feel free to do your auction draft art early in the draft. 260 down to about 80. 80 is a good number to go. Hold on a second. Where is this auction at? What am I doing? Because at 80 you can get 5 or a handful of $10 players. You can round out your bench with some value. It's a good deceleration point. An absolute stopping point, if you're being reckless in early rounds because you like studs and you're concentrating your players, is probably 50. Because at least at $50, and even if I need 16 more players, that gives me $35. I can price in for us. I can push guys up and make sure they're not getting too much value at $20. A comment came in. This person submitted their paper. One line, drafting for next year's ADP. A+. You graduated my class. That's the end of it. You figured this all out. You could probably help me. We're drafting for next year's ADP. We're looking ahead on what it is going to change into. And just a little comment on ADP, the industry talk, listening to this pod, and they're talking about how high a Matt Strom went up in ADP preseason. And it is such a small group of guys. They're going on each other's podcasts. They're shouting each other out. They're going in circles. And Nick Pollock at Pitcher List, now part of Sleeper and the Bust, if I have anything to say to Nick, it's Matt Strom. I can't trust a word out of Nick Pollock's mouth anymore. And he may be good and he may be talking spin rates, but it's not working, Nick, because Matt Strom. So I'm going to have to give you a season to just get over it. It's Justin Mason and Spore. It's the same guys. And I'm hearing mistakes. I heard someone say they didn't see any age-related decline in and JD Martinez. I did. I can point you to it. But no, we're going to keep going. So one of the things they will do in here is this set price illusion. There's no set price. The auction is telling me what a guy is going to cost to get. We're picking our guys. The set price illusion. This pitcher I deduce from the Steamer projections is going for $23, and if he goes for $25, I'm going to get off. That's nonsensical. There's no set price. These guys can't do a projection and then back a price out of it. You're going to end up with mishy mush in your auction. You're going to end up with a team and be like, how'd this happen? Why did I overspend on pitch? It's going to be the same stories we hear every season. So we're getting away from that. And the other thing is I'm not looking at Steamer yet, guys. Fangraphs has Steamer projections. And if you want to spoil yourself and you want to give up and you want to say, well, how many RBIs does Steamer say they have? We can do it. And I'm saving it because I just don't feel like I need it at this point. So I'm going to bring you into my process. I'm going to bring you into targets. This is buying aces. I was going to top 10, top 20. I just stop with saying the top. This is auction draft strategy. We're buying aces and we're buying them at certain prices. We can win leagues this season because there are mistakes. More specifically, there are young guys. There have been emerging journeymen. There's been a changing of the guard at No Country for Old Men. There are young players that are making the jump. There are people emerging into the league and people that are just resting on Steamer and aren't confident in breakouts. They're making mistakes, and we're going to try to scoop up all of those mistakes. I'm working both Fangraphs and Baseball Savant, and I want to go over those as tools, how we're using them, and how I went back and forth. I start with Baseball Savant because it's more outcomes. It's xFIP, FIP, swinging strikes, K rates, walk rates, left on base. Though I'm looking at that stuff, but I like a month to month. I like a month to month. Yeah, first half, second half, sure. 2018, first half, second half. Okay, sure. Sure. I want to get a feel of what's possible. K to BB ratio all the time. But then month to month, because now I can see floor and ceiling, hot months. How long did they carry it? Especially on K to B and swinging strike because I want to win Ks. So I'm slicing and dicing. But now you go over to Baseball Savant, and I'm going to bring you through that and what I'm looking at. There's even more stuff related. Fastballs, how the stuff is coming out, ex-wobas, swing whiff rates, hard hit, different numbers. So kind of comparing those. And when you're doing your pitching, it is just jockeying for position. Well, on this list, I like you because of this. Oh, now your walk rate, I think you're this. So there was a lot of jockeying. There was a lot of racing around for position. But I finally have settled on some material that I can bring to the table with a pretty high level of confidence. And if not confidence, I can at least tell you what you're buying and why. Let's see here. Did I have any last points before I jump into this? Just one thing on so in the end I come full circle and then I go to push up whiff rate. I go to push up whiff that I'm finding on Baseball Savant. And I'm like, but hold on a second. Those aren't the best guys yet. And what is that final determining factor is walk rate, is BB per 9. So control and command, you'll hear different experts try to debate the difference between control and command, and they're trying to describe different things because it's very hard to check command in starting pitchers, where they want something to go versus having nasty stuff that can go anywhere, or they don't know where it's going to go. But in the end, it seems that low walk rate means this person can paint the black, the little stripe that's outside of the plate that still gets called strikes, or they can paint low middle when they need to, or that when control leaves, when something mechanically goes away and these guys throw 4 balls in a row, they've got to cue themselves back into their timing and refine it to gain control. So these guys maybe don't lose control for as long. It can come into being their competitive nature. So walk rate is going to play a real final determination. And when you really want to get granular, game logs, I'm just looking for depth. I'm looking for how many home runs per game they gave up, maybe how many earned runs, the hits. Game log can get you a sense, an even better sense of what the gems were versus what the blowups looked like. You can also break that down into Arsenal. We also had to keep our eye on some guys that kind of elude the statistics because they didn't throw a lot of innings. Maybe your Clevenger, Glasnow, Sale. These guys kind of hide a little bit, but we'll talk about them. Are we ready to do these starting pitchers? We're learning to like these guys. Let's jump in here. So I've already named the high-end guys, but I think it's worth going in again because this is how we decide. They're defining the bell. The outliers define the bell, where the bell is, and how to compare the middle guys. So we have to get to the outline creme de la creme to know how they work. And from that, it built me a profile. This is the best pitcher. How does this best pitcher work? So I can back into it. And we have number 1, Garrett Cole. Let's go Baseball Savant, statistics page. You've got to switch it to pitchers, and you've got to switch it to expected statistics, and they're sorting ex-WOBA off the bat, and Garrett Cole is number 1 with the 238. Garrett Cole, this is a tier unto himself. He is all by himself as much better than the other players, than every other starting pitching option at age 29 at 6'4". You can see his red bars. That's the best place to get a quick look at fastball spin, curves, different spin rates are on there. His red bars are all the way over on every metric possible up there. We scroll down his page, take a little peek at the walk rate, that BB percentage, because you're not going to see it much else on Baseball Savant. The K percentage, the BB percentage, he went red. He had a breakout season, clearly. A walk percentage of just 6. This is what I'm grabbing in terms of Arsenal, and I touched on it before, but let's zoom in here. Are these whiff rates on different pitches? What is so scary about Garrett? They show 5 pitches here. He's only thrown the sinker about 80 times, so he's more of a 4 pitch mix. But he's got a 40% whiff rate on the slider. You see the whiff percentages, one from the right. He's got a 40% whiff rate on the slider, a 41% whiff rate on the change, and a fastball with the 37% whiff rate. Even the curve is a 30. So that I would call that 3+ pitches in a 4 pitch mix, a 5 pitch mix. Yes, he was a little homer prone on the heater, but the heater's at 97. A hard change at 88 miles per hour. You're looking at about a 9 mile per hour differential, but the curve slows way down, and it's a hard slider. So Arsenal wise, you're seeing a guy that's got 40% whiff rate on almost 3 pitches and a strong fastball. I'm over the movement because movement doesn't necessarily mean control. But I do like this summation under the plate discipline. There's a whiff percentage. The whiff percentage for Garrett Cole is 37.3. This is the highest whiff percentage we're going to see. The other thing we've got to check out is your chase. His chase is 32.3, not the most, but the zone contact just 71.6. Can't be touched in the zone. Can't be touched. And that's probably where he's hurling that cheddar in there, or he's throwing the other pitches for strikes. So that differential in the 32.3 chase and the 71 zone contact with the 37% whiff, this is Garrett Cole. This is the most elite pitcher. I don't need to do FIPS and XFIPS are following stuff at this point. Filth upon filth. Start him off with our first price. He's $45. He's by himself. If I was going to get one of these aces, my confidence in him, Jake DeGrom at 39, Verlander at 36, Scherzer at 35, I might pay up for Garrett because it's that good. It's going to go that well. Let's keep moving on. We got to set the edge with these top players. My next guy, it was close. This is a 2-person tier with Verlander and DeGrom. Verlander, JV. Bars look great, look like red. Walk rate, a 5 in red, great. JV, what's the pitch mix? 4-pitch mix. The whiff rate isn't as ridiculous as Garrett Cole. He's got a 40% whiff rate on the slider, a 33 on the change. The other pitches are hard to hit, a 31 on the fastball, gave up 24 bombs, so people do get to it. And the curveball, that's serviceable, kind of gets him over 26% whiff rate for a total whiff rate of 33.7. That's very good. It's not the best in terms of whiff rate, and that's why there are some more aces out there, some ace upside. Zone contact, just 73. Chase at 35.3. So the zone contact, not quite Garrett, but the chase better than Garrett. The whiff rate, not as good as Garrett. Verlander is not as good as Garrett. He's also 7 years older. The fastball isn't as hard, 94.6, but at least you start to get to know this stuff here. And off of the whiff rate, you can look at the put away. I believe the put away is what they're using or how they're using it to get the strikeout. Whiffs can come at any pitch in the sequence. Number 3 here, Jake DeGrom, bars all the way over. Maybe just not curve spin, but spin is a little bit debatable because low spin on off-speed things actually helps. So I'm not sure. I'm not going to go further into how they're interpreting that. Walk rate 5.5, very good. Pitch mix, pitch tracking on Baseball Savant. 35% whiff rate on the change, 39 on the change, 35 on the slider. With a 29% whiff rate curve and a 27 whiff rate fastball and only 10 home runs on the fastball, we look at the count. DeGrom is more of a four-seam slider change kind of pitcher. He's sprinkling in curve and sinker, but he's primarily using that slider and that change. With the fastball that I know he just likes to work low for a whiff rate of just 31.5. 31.5 on the whiff. Zone contact 75.8, but a chase of 35, so getting guys outside the zone. Again, this is why I have him just below JV, because the zone contact is just back and the whiff at 31. You can't go wrong here. But again, the prices, we're still talking about $35 players. Let's look at another person to set the bar. Max Scherzer, bars, red. Walk rate, sparkling, 4.8, sparkling, walk. Pitch mix, a 50% whiff rate on the slider. I would call 40 plus a plus pitch, but a 50% whiff rate, that's plus plus. I don't know if there's 3 plus, just elite, but plus plus slider at 50% strikeout, 50% whiff, 39% on the changeup whiff. So he's got 2 plus pitches with 94, 95 mile per hour cheddar. Gave up only 11 home runs with it. Sprinkles in more curve and more cutter. So this is true 5-pitch mix. More true than what DeGrom is doing, who's more 3 and sprinkles in 2 others. This is true 5-pitch mix for Max Scherzer. The whiff rate, 34% on the whiff. Zone contact, 74. Chase, 34. Elite pitcher. Disregard the injury. Stud. People aren't really even approaching him on his year-to-year swinging strike rates. So Maxi Scherzer is definitely up in the big 4. It's about to get more interesting, and at least we start with those guys to see where we're getting close to setting the bar. I gotta set this up. Take a second. My next pitcher, I'm doing this a touch in reverse. I'm gonna first disclaim because of my nervousness on him, Walker Buehler. I'm putting Walker Buehler here as the 5th pitcher because of the control, because of the low walks. And I look back at his minor league numbers, and he has shown more strikeout rate than what he did last season. But he had never showed such low walks, even in the minors. So for him to take a step forward control-wise, I believe there's a little bit more in the tank for him to be harder to hit and maybe some more K rate. But I think he can work deep into games. I'm putting Walker Buehler here, even though from a chase perspective, it's not enough. From a zone contact, it's not enough. From a whiff rate, it's not enough. Just on youth and hype and how much I like him, and maybe a little bit because of fastball velocity, I'm putting Walker Buehler this high. Bars, solid. Exit velo gets touched a little bit. Walks, 5. 5% walk rate, sparkling. Here we see a slightly reduced pitch tracking pitch mix. The curve for a 37% whiff. Lower than all the Chiefs we just put up. Lower than the big 4. 32% whiff on the slider. 24 on the 4-seamer. Throws a cutter at 26. Mixes in a little bit of sinker. So he's 4-pitch mix. He's working some cutter. Cutter has been known to take away a little bit from velo, but it's not affecting Buehler at this point as his fastball sits at 96. The cutter works at 93. I think it just helps him keep people off the fastball. He seems to like the cutter as his put-away pitch at 34%. So he is working that cutter when he needs to get an out. They probably think it's the fastball, and then it moves a little bit over on him. The whiff, just 26.8. 26 point, not like what we heard of, and not like the other 10 or 12 guys that are 30% whiff plus. So Buehler's a little bit down on the whiff. The chase at 32, that's not the 35 we're talking about. And the zone contact is 80. I will mention that he's getting better over the last 3 seasons on the zone contact number. So I'm just getting Walker Buehler out here because I like him so much. He's going to be so expensive. But also to point out, this is the profile where the pitches, the mix doesn't look filthy enough to be the next to be elite, but the walk rate does. If anything were to happen with the mix, which I think it could because he's 25 years old. Next up, Jack Flaherty. I believe Jack Flaherty is showing what is necessary to be a 1A ace. I hold him squarely in the top 10. Walk rate of a 7. Not the 5 of Walker B. Let's check out the pitch mix. Pitch tracking. Here we go. 4-seamer, 22% whiff, gave up 14 home runs. So the heater is getting tagged a little bit. But what we see that's excellent is a slider for Jack Flaherty with a 45% whiff rate, followed by a curve with its own 40% whiff rate. So he's got 2+ offerings with a really filthy slider down at 84 miles an hour. So the four-seamer at 94 and the slider at 84 probably has some bend on it, and he's using it to put away guys. Sprinkles in some sinker and some change. The sinker's hard at 92. The whiff rate is 23. It was an okay pitch for him. Whiff rate 31, 30.9 on the whiff rate. So he's in the 30s, but the zone contact down at 78. 78% zone contact. The chase only 29, not up over the 30 that we want. So he's not getting guys so much off the plate, but he's not hittable in the zone. Flaherty looks like a guy at the ripe age of 24 at 6'4". We know he went on a filthy tear in the second half. I have Jack Flaherty as being worth getting as your one. Here we go on the prices. Walker Buehler, $35. Jack Flaherty, $32. So you still would have to spend that $35 pricey ace. But they don't have the stuff. I mean, Walker Buehler doesn't have the Scherzer stuff, so wouldn't you pay up? You know, Walker Buehler and Flaherty don't have Garrett Cole stuff. Do you want to put 15 on it and get the best pitcher in the league versus hoping that the step forward comes for Flaherty? So that's what I mean about assessing kind of that price gap. I mean, $34, or I could have probably Scherzer. Verlander's only $37. So Buehler and Flaherty are fairly not overpriced, but they're expensive right now. The upside is coming in the price, and you're paying a little bit for the sexiness tax. But there are more aces to go. Next on my list, Mike Clevenger. Mike Clevenger, bars, looking good. Walks, 7.4. A little walkier than Flaherty. Can I see the pitch mix? Here I see a guy in Clevenger that is a really true 4-pitch mix. A 48% whiff rate on his slider. Plus offering on the slider. With a 32% whiff on the curve and a 33% whiff on the change. Those are kind of in that plus range. I mean, 33 on the change plus a four-seamer working at a 30% whiff. Only gave up 7 home runs. Bandwidths of 95 mile per hour on the cheddar, down to 80% on the slider, down to 77 on the curve, and then a hard changeup at 87. So he's got a lot of velocity bandwidths. I just think it's keeping guys off balance. He's not sprinkling in stuff. He's using all four of those pitches on a regular basis to result in a whiff rate of 35.3. 35.3. Mike Clevenger is an ace. Zone contact down in the 73%, 73.6, and a chase of 30. Not the most amazing, but Mike Clevenger is an ace, guys. Come on, at only $28. So he's slightly less priced. You know, if I'm getting into a big fight for Walker B up to $38, but I could get Clevenger at cost at $28, I gotta go Mike Clevenger. There's more whiff. There's less zone contact. Clevenger is an ace. You can trust in that. And now I'm not doing injuries. Yes, I will be on Roto, grinding these guys out, looking at health status, listening to things. Let's just segue. Quick health update. Alberto Mondesi is participating in all baseball activities. That's what the post reads. But then if you read a little further, it says, but the coaches have asked him to not dive, based on the fact that he had recently a repaired labrum. So what do you mean all baseball activities? He's going to be stealing bases. Are we going to look at a guy who's going to have restraints on the bases to not run for 4? Will he run ever again? Will the labrum be okay? What's the risk of re-injury to the labrum? Is he learning how to dive differently? It is concerning, but I probably still have to buy some. Look at another player, Byron Buxton. He's hitting off the tees, participating again, had a surgery on a labrum. So there's a lot of speed in those two guys. with a lot of labrum tear risk, and I still want to buy both. Back to the starting pitching. Clevenger. Next on my list here, I lost the page for a second. Where did he go? Clevenger. Oh, don't do it to me. I buried the page on myself, but here it is. Next on the list, if you're really looking for an ace, and this guy flashed it, we've known Yu Darvish. Yu Darvish. The bars are meh. The fastball velocity is down. The exit velocity of the hard hit is a little bit down. The walks are up at 7.7. The pitch mix, they don't even know how to track him. He's showing 8 pitches. In reverse order, an ephus, a change, a split, a curve, a sinker, a slider, a four-seam, a cutter. He throws everything. What I saw from Darvish, I see a guy, and I'm all in here on Yu Darvish this season. He is 33 years old. He's always been strikeouty. He's always been filthy with the Ks. He went through some late surgeries on the elbow. He's had different, off rampings because of injury risk. But there were points last season for a couple months of the season when Yu Darvish was elite K to BB percentage, and he was walking nobody. I think a .7 walks per 9 with 13 Ks. I see a guy in Yu Darvish that could very well be in the top 5 for aces, and I think we've got to go in there and get some of that. Let me tell you my reason for this is I'm seeing a Yu Darvish down here for $18. Here is your first $20 ace. If I'm looking to not spend up and I need the filth and everyone could get injured and I'm not sure, Yu Darvish is going for only $18 or $20. He can anchor a staff. You can put gems together. Are there injury risks? Have we seen it go badly? Yes, but we've seen it go great. Let's get into this pitch mix. He's throwing so many things, so it's hard to look at the numbers. He really is sprinkling in 6 pitches, but he's got a 40% whiff on the slider. He's got a 40% whiff on the split. His cutter and his four-seamer both have 30% whiff rates. The four-seamer was giving up some home runs for a combined whiff rate of a 30.4, not amazing. Zone contact at 79, chase at 31. So he's not on the level of the previous people we mentioned, the big 4. But I saw those flashes, and I'm going to trust a little bit there in Yu Darvish. So we're deep now. We're 9 pitchers in. I've got 5 more guys here that I consider aces. And I'm trying to look at the price and what I can get him for. Let me get the next one up here. It is Chris Sale. Chris Sale, 30 years old. Mechanics have always been wild. 6'6". Are the best days behind him for his career? Let's just take a peek. I mean, this guy's been throwing 200 innings. We've seen some decline over the last couple of years. I think the risk here is that the arm is just falling off. And it is worth looking back and seeing how good Chris was a year ago. Classic 4-pitch mix. The slider, 36% whiff rate. The changeup, 33%. So none of these are plus offerings. You go back the year before or multiple years back, and you see that in 2018, the slider was getting whiffs at 44%. The changeup at 38%. So you had 2 true plus pitches. With fastball velo working up at 95, where he's ticked down last season by 2 degrees to 93 miles per hour. So we are seeing a diminished player. But can he get right? Can he get healthy? His horizontal movements on all his pitches have been so elite, it's hard to really pin him down. A whiff rate last season of 32%. The season before that of 35%. But zone contact still just 75%. Chase percentage up at 33%. So even with the diminished velocity and the diminished stuff, there is so much movement on Chris Sale's pitches that he remains elite. Very hard to hit. And here he is. $23, almost a $20 ace. We'd have to watch the health. We'd have to watch what was going on. Chris Sale said he's recuperated from his bout with pneumonia, and he says he feels really good. So, we're watching these guys in the preseason. Chris Sale he's that good. But let's go to my next player here, Blake Snell. If there's somebody, again, to be bullish on, Blake Snell has the stuff to emerge. This is Cy Young stuff. He has a Cy Young, and he has the stuff to back it up. So if Blake Snell puts it all together, you're looking again at someone who has that top 5 arsenal to break out for you. Let's touch on his price right now. Blake Snell at $25, a $10 discount off of a Walker Buehler. Very, very filthy stuff. The walk rate is what scares me most at a 9. He's always been walky. So more walky than a lot of the other aces that we've considered thus far. But we go into the arsenal and we see absolute disgusting, scary filth. And in some way, Blake Snell could be the number 2 pitcher because the stuff is so filthy. All right, the 4-seamer, modest, 95.5 miles an hour, 27% whiff rate, gave up only 5 home runs. Okay, what else are you using, Blake? He's got a curveball at 81 miles per hour, slows it way down. 94.9 whiff percentage. There's not enough pluses to describe that. I haven't seen a pitch that's filthy as Blake's curve yet. He could just throw it all the time. It's got a 95% whiff percentage. Crazy. He's got a change at 86 miles per hour, 5 miles per hour harder than the curve, with a 46% whiff rate. It doesn't make any sense. And then a slider at a 50.9 whiff percentage. What is going? Blake Snell is commanding 3 elite plus pitches, 2 plus, and 1 plus for a combined whiff rate of 38.3%. Unhittable. 34.8 last season. He was more untouchable this season. The zone contact is 77. The chase is at 36. This looks like if he could get better command and bring those walks down, this is Garrett Cole stuff. This is filthy, filthy stuff. $25? Forget all those other guys. I mean, going back to the prices, Blake Snell is $25. Garrett Cole is $45. I can get Blake Snell and another $20 pitcher for the price of Garrett Cole. And the stuff is so crazy in there. I'm so bullish on Blake Snell at $25. He's 27 years old. He's 6'4". The K's are, his minor league track record, everything has been astronomical. I had Snell up so high. I honestly brought up Snell and I brought up the next guy I'm going to mention, and then I took him back down for walks. But for Cy Young stuff, Blake Snell's in the conversation. He has top 3 skills upside. Here's the next guy that I had way, way up and then had to bring down, so it's a little bit divisive, is Luis Castillo. Luis Castillo, just 27. Bars are excellent except fastball spin. Something for me to delve a little deeper into. The walk rate, a 10%. Not ideal from the walk rate. We're seeing a Walker B working at 5%, half of that. But let's take a peek at the arsenal. The changeup, a 48% whiff percentage. Whew. The slider, a 47% whiff percentage. It's 2 plus offerings. He's working a 4-seamer and a sinker. The 4-seamer has got a 27% whiff percentage, gave up 7 bombs. The sinker, maybe that's a ground ball pitch that he's using. He throws at 96 miles an hour. Doesn't use it to put away that much. So the fastball is not striking guys out. I think it's a little straight when I watch it. But for a combined whiff percentage, underplay discipline of 36% whiff percentage, 75% zone contact, and a 32% chase, Luis Castillo is an ace. If there are any sort of gains, he's throwing 96 miles per hour. He's got 2 plus offerings. The walk rate's high, but if he gets that under control, the swing and miss is going to get there. I think Castillo has Cy Young Arsenal upside in all reality. So let's go over. Let's see what the market thinks about Luis Castillo. $21. This is a $20 ace. $20 ace. Build around it. So I could start with Luis Castillo. Why do I want to go up to $35 for Walker Buehler? As much as I love him and the team and the park and the environment and the deep innings, there's more filth in Luis. So we're going there. Let's go to the next player on here. This is learning to love these players. Lucas Giolito. I talked about him before. What's been the reversal for a Lucas Giolito? He's a $20 ace. Build around it. Luis Castillo for 21, Lucas Giolito for 20, ace and another ace. The story of Lucas Giolito is somewhat amazing. We know that he's got number one upside. He was a number 16 round one overall pick. He's 6'6", 25 years old. The real wild thing, let me go to the arsenal while I paint you the picture of this story. The four-seamer is at 94 miles an hour. It's up 2 ticks from 2018 when he was only throwing 92. That helps him for sure. Gave up some home runs, 12 home runs on it, only a 26% whip percentage. It's an okay four-seamer. The changeup, 41% whiff rate. That's a plus pitch. Down at 81 miles per hour. He's got a 13 mile per hour separation on the four seam and the change, and he's using it to put guys away. He's got a slider with a 42% whiff rate working at 84 miles an hour, and he's putting guys away with that. He sprinkles in a curveball. So it's the 2+ pitches, but a tremendous differential on where the changeup goes. I use the pitch arsenal where the pitches go occasionally. I'm going to do it here on Lucas Giolito to show you. In 2018, the changeup kind of all over the place. And he's got a 70 overall grade on his curve. So where I see the upside, he comes up through the minors. He's got a 70 grade on his curve, but he's had to shelve it. So I believe there's curveball upside in Giolito. He could come out and have 3+ pitches if the curveball starts to work, as opposed to him having to shelve it. In 2018, I'm in his StatCast pitch arsenal looking at the pitchers. I go to 2019 from a change that was kind of all over the place to a change that he's pounding the zone with. He's pounding the zone and they can't get on it because he's switching fastball change and the differential is huge. And he cakewalked with this ridiculous fastball change combination to a whiff rate of 32.9%. The zone contact is down to a 73%. I mean, from last season, 85% zone contact with only a 24% chase. That is not going to work. He gets the zone contact down 12% to 73.7% zone contact. That's elite. Lucas Giolito is elite on keeping guys off him in the zone. The chase only up at 27, not in the 30 where we want it. He's shown a chase of higher. 3 years ago, he had a 33% chase. This is elite. This is Giolito took the step forward, is an elite ace. Mark it down, pencil it in. I'm extremely bullish on Giolito. And this is what I mean about getting to know guys that you're not that sure about. Getting more familiar with what it is, what you're buying. You know, you can say it's not the most elite fastball with Giolito, but I'm getting a guy who's 25 years old on an upcoming team. He's throwing 94, 95 with the Heat. The changeup is filthy down at 81, making guys swing and miss. You know, the curveball's been shelled. And the four-seam. So, you know, I can live there absolutely. Let's keep going. I've got another guy here. Shane Bieber. What are you doing, Shane? So Shane's bars, they're not as wonderful because I'm seeing a bad exit velocity and a bad hard hit for Shane. What I do know Shane is excellent at is the walk rate is so low. We weren't sure if Shane had strikeout upside last season. We knew he had a lot of control from the minors. He continued to show the control, but he took a step forward in strikeout stuff. A 4.7 walk rate, sparkling. Pitch mix, slider with the 43% whiff, curve with the 48% whiff. He's got a plus slider, approaching a plus curve. He sprinkles in a change, which isn't working great with only a 21% whiff. But here lies the problem for a Bieber. He's working with only a 93 mile per hour fastball. And yeah, I've got to say only. Because everybody I've mentioned so far is 94 and above. I've mentioned a few guys with 96. So at 93 mile per hour, guys are catching up to it to the tune of 19 home runs. He gave up 19 home runs. What's happening when pitchers go to Houston is they're saying, just throw your off speed. It works for Patrick Corbin. Just throw your pitches that guys can't hit. And then they sprinkle in the four-seamer. The league is evolving where it's not just a hard stuff league anymore. Guys are throwing the other pitches. And maybe Bieber needs to either do some of that or get this fastball to work better or add a cutter, which he could. This is Shane Bieber here, only 24 years old, but let's get a little closer. The whiff is 30.7, okay, because two of those pitches are so whifful that he's at 30.7, but the zone contact, here we see a first failure, 83%. Everyone else we're talking about is got mid-70s, low 70s zone contact. The chase is 32.5. That's good. That's more chase than Giolito demanded. But Giolito's zone contact was down in the mid-70s, where Bieber is at 83, and some of those are fastballs, and some of those are getting hit for home runs. But I do trust the Biebs because the walk rate is so low. This is the issue. This is the last piece. I know but what's his price? Walker Bieber, Shane Bieber, $27.8. So he's in a bad spot here in terms of price. I kind of think that Luis Castillo and Lucas Giolito have better stuff than Shane Bieber. People are just hype on the Biebs. Maybe it's the last name. They're bonkers for him. But at $28, given that zone contact, I can't do it. That's not my guy at $28. He would be great at $20. If he was like these other $20 aces, sure. So that's Shane Bieber, and that kind of closes out another tier for me, which is this 1A upside, top 10 upside, ace upside. I kind of took the Biebs, and I said, I don't know. He surprised us last season. The walks are down. The Ks went up. If he surprised us again, the Biebs is showing, and it's a young arm. It's a fresh arm. And now I'm going to go to a couple arms that are still elite, but they're not as fresh. And they're guys that we just have to learn to respect and learn to love. I'm going to start with a Steven Strasburg. I probably have Steven too low. It's because of all the injuries he's had previously. The bars look great. He's 31 years old. He put the full season together. The walk rate is 6.7, solid. Let's check the whiffs. He's got a curve he's working for a 39% whiff rate. He's got a changeup at 44%. That's putting that at plus. He's pretty much shelved the slider, like I said, so he's 4-pitch mix. The sinker isn't great. The four-seamer at 24%. Okay, he gave up 11 home runs on it. What's the combined whiff? 30.8. So, Castillo at 36. Snell at 36 on the whiff. I mean, here's your Steven Strasburg at 30% on the whiff. The zone contact is 81. Not ridiculous, but good with the line being 80. A chase rate of 34.8. We like that, so he does know how to pitch and get guys off the zone. I'm going to put Strazzle Dazzle in there. He's going to be great. There's always injury risk, but what's the price on a Straz? $28, almost $30. No way. The prices don't work. I'd rather go up and get myself a Walker Buehler because that's who I want to have for $5 or $6 more. Or I can save $4 or $5 and take a Cy Young level Blake Snell. I could save myself a whole 10 and just wait for Castillo and Giolito. So now seeing we're getting aces this season, and this is how we're going to win leagues. We got to get to know these players. So let me see here. Who do I have next? Clayton Kershaw. Let's look at the decline of 31-year-old Clayton Kershaw and respect that the innings are still decent. The bars are, the fastball velocity is down. The walk rate at 5.8, very good, very, very good. The stuff, it's true 4-pitch mix. Actually, he's not using much change. He's down to 3-pitch mix. He's 4-seamer slider curve. 34% whiff on the curve, 34% whiff on the slider. The 4-seamer's getting him in some trouble. He gave up 11 bombs on it. He's working at just 90 miles an hour. Poor guy is down to 90 miles an hour. I've got to open up some other seasons. In 2017, he worked at 93. In 2015, he was working 94. 2011. So this is Kershaw working at just 90, changing up his usage percentage. Yeah, the shine is coming off these pitches. Is he going to be not as good? Yeah, a little less. The whiff rate is only 27%. That's career low. The zone contact is up to 83%, but the chase is still 34%. So he still is getting guys to go after it. I just think because I saw Clayton, he knows how to pitch, and I think he's going to know how to pitch at a decreased velocity, which he did last season. I'm just going to mention him in there because he's a little more certain to keep low ERA, low run games, as well as pitch deep into games because he's a workhorse. And then my next pitcher here, Noah Syndergaard, 27 years old. It's interesting that his problem with his bars are the fastball spin and the curveball spin. So the spin may mean more movement, may mean the ability to hide the pitch better. The walk rate, great, 5.9. I love how Noah Syndergaard stays in the zone and does not walk. But the whiff percentage is just 27%. Not getting enough whiff. The zone contact is 80, very good, but not elite. The chase is 30. Kind of average, not elite for getting guys to chase. So that's where the strikeouty, the swing and miss isn't coming to fruition. His slider has a 39% whiff rate on it. The curve, a 46% whiff rate. He probably needs to throw the curve more with the change, the 4-seamer, and the sinker not getting the same whiffs. Not too home runny. It's like he has 2+ pitches, but he didn't throw the curve that much. He used it to put away with 2+ pitches. There's Noah Syndergaard. What is the price on Noah? Is he really this low? $17? Man, another $20 ace. Yes, he's disappointed. He hasn't taken the amazing step. But the 4-seamer sits at 97.8 miles an hour. Even the change is at 91, so the differential's not there, but that's a hard change if it moves. Hard slider, the curve is really the slowdown pitch at 80 miles per hour. You can't sit 97 on the 4-seam and catch up to a curve at 80 with 17 miles per hour of differential. So I still love Syndergaard, and I absolutely love his price. I mean, price-wise, why would I not have Syndergaard over Shane Bieber, who is equally low walks? I could talk about some more players here. That's really rounding out where I'm getting elite $20 aces. Lance Lynn, you got to learn to like a Lance Lynn. Age 32. Found 2 ticks in velocity. I'm just going to touch on these guys. You could examine them a little bit. He found a tick in velocity. He's working with Nolan Ryan over there at the pitching staff. He's got a 40% whiff on the curve. Fastball gave up 17 home runs. He gets a little bit of whiffs on it. And you can see where these guys don't meet the elite level. 28% whiff, great. 77% zone contact. Look at where he is on zone contact. That's below the last 3 I mentioned. The chase is only 28. Now that lags behind your Clayton Kershaws. So there's some give and take here, but Lance Lynn was good last season. And so he might be good again. What is pretty comical is to check prices. Lance Lynn is going for $6. $6? I mean, Lance Lynn is an afterthought. The numbers say differently. And so I've got to be bullish on there. I've got to know to keep $10, $11 in the bank to make sure that if I want, I can buy a Lance Lynn. I'm remaining high there. I have a couple more guys that it just seems a little too easy. Patrick Corbin. Bars are bad. Bars are trashy. Walk rate 8.4, not great. Here it is. It's a slider with a 92% whiff, and he mostly throws it. So Corbin breaks all the molds. He comes in, he just throws this slider that nobody can hit. It's got a batting average of 158. I mean, he sits behind the slider the way everybody else sits four-seamer, but he can't throw a sinker, and his four-seamer sits at 92 miles per hour. That's too slow. His curve is at least serviceable. So it's a very funky pitcher with a whiff rate the season before at 34%, last season only 32. The zone contact got bad at 84%. The league caught up with him. The chase is good at 34, but the zone contact is bad. So what do you do with a Patrick Corbin? I mean, he's in there somewhere. You got to give him, what was the whiff? You got to think about him. Maybe he takes a step forward. Maybe that was all we've seen from him, 32% whiff. Interesting player at age 30. But this just shows how I'm getting back in on a German Marquez. Age 24. What was the problem? The walks were great. 4.9 walk rate. Whoa, German. Fastball sat 96. He's got a plus curve and a plus slider. But the whiff on the four-seamer at only 15%. To say he's got a sinker or change, he's not really. He's more of a three-pitch mix guy. He's using a sinker a little bit probably to get ground balls, but not whiffs. The whiff percentage of only 27%. The zone contact up at 84 and the chase down at 30. So now you get to know, like, yeah, this is, German Marquez isn't on those guys' level. He's going to have to take a step forward to be on their level. He's not a 1A upside ace. What is the price over here? I'm going to have to find him. I don't know. He might even be on the second page. Is that possible? Yeah, I remember this. The next 50. Price-wise, German Marquez, gosh, I can't even find him. Did he move around even further? We'll have to see. I know he's fairly reasonably priced. You have the Colorado factor, which isn't that good. God, I just don't want to give up on him. Woodruff, Bumgarner, these guys are all above him. Ohtani's above him. German Marquez for $3, so he's going for nothing. I'm going to get back in there with the velocity. Trevor Bauer. Good fastball spin, some lower bars, mostly his hard hit and his exit velo that he is getting hit hard sometimes. The 9% walk rate went in the wrong direction for him last season. How are the offerings? He's got a slider with a 44% whiff, 1+ pitch. The curve, the cutter, all sitting mid-30s. Nothing was spectacular. The four-seamer gave up 20 home runs on a 21% whiff rate. That was terrible. I mean, Trevor Bauer, he can't be giving up those fastball home runs like that. The whiff rate at 29.4, good. Zone contact, 81%, okay, not elite. Chase at 28%, okay, not elite. So here's a good pitcher. What was the fastball velocity? 94.5 fastball. That's pretty hard. These guys are setting the terms. They're setting the terms for how we're going to go forward. I've got some more pitchers in here for you to mix up, but we've got to wrap this up for today. Look at a Max Fried, Morton, Greinke. These are guys that are old that want to retire. Robbie Ray, Ryu. Two guys that I don't like. I think they're pumpkins, but I've got to respect them because of the numbers. Sonny Gray and Matt Boyd, both kind of doing it. And I'm seeing some outrageous filth from a Tyler Glasnow. Maybe even a Dinelson Lamet. But I'll get in there. I'll sort some of these guys out. Paddock, Matz. But at least we know what we're looking for and where these guys stand. I had a couple other pieces. The last piece I want to leave you with, some guys were low innings. So Clevenger with a 3.09 xFIP, but a 2.64 walks per 9. Tyler Glasnow, when it went right, a 2.94 xFIP, just a 2.09 walks. Glasnow, oh my goodness. And I'm going to sandwich him between a Chris Sale with a 2.93 xFIP, but a 2.26 walk. So a little trade-off there, a little more walks from Sale, but Glasnow's got himself tucked in like a Clevenger, Chris Sale kind of stuff. But to show you when guys are the GOAT, like a Max Scherzer, 2.88 xFIP with a 1.72 walks per 9. Get those other guys out of here. That's why Scherzer is in your top 4. Blake Snell, 3.31 xFIP because of the 3.36 walks. The walks are hurting your xFIP Blake, but Walker Buehler talking a little bit more like a Max Scherzer with the 1.83 walks. I had to mention those guys. And a couple of players that are getting lost in the mix a little bit is a Luis Severino and a Corey Kluber. You're not going to find their numbers in the list. You're not going to find the prices really aren't right. Let's see. Severino for $19. I have a funny feeling if he's healthy, that's another $20 ace. And Corey Kluber, you can look at the stuff. It's a little bit diminished, but he knows how to pitch. He's going for just $13. If he's healthy, we've got to think about it. I hope this helped a little bit. Talk about these starting pitchers and getting to know them, getting to like them. I've got some confidence level in them now, and I can start sorting through mid-tier, pushing up sleepers, learning to believe these guys, to be able to buy them. Do you trust Sonny Gray? Do you trust Matt Boyd? I'm starting to. Big shout out to all the subscribers. Holler at your boy.